She knew the way. Long ago, when there were slaves in America, the slaves had a secret way of telling each other no so that their masters would not understand. They simply sang. One night on a plantation in Maryland, a brave black girl sang softly as she passed many cabins. The other slaves came to the doors to listen. They knew the deep voice of Harriet Tubman, and they learned what she was planning. I'm sorry, friends, to leave you. Farewell. Oh, farewell. But I'll meet you in the morning. Farewell. Oh, farewell. That night, as the slaves went to sleep on the floors of the cabins, they thought about Harriet's song. They knew it meant she was running away to the north to be free. And they whispered to one another, if anyone can make it, Harriet can make it. Harriet was small but very strong. She did immense work in the fields. She chopped down trees, split logs, and hauled lumber. And Harriet knew the routes. She could see in the dark like an owl. In the morning, Harriet was gone. As the day passed, the slaves waited nervously. They knew that Harriet would be hunted by men with guns and bloodhounds. If they caught her, she would be brought back and beaten. Pastors offering a reward for her capture were put on trees. But the weeks passed, and she wasn't brought back. Harriet must be in the north. The slaves whispered to each other, Harriet must be free. They were glad, of course, but at the same time they were sad because they thought they would never see Harriet again. They were wrong about that. One night, over a year later, a strange young man passed through the slaves' quarter. He was singing softly. The young man was strange, but the voice was familiar. At first, the slave couldn't believe it. The voice sounded like Harriet's. Could it be Harriet dressed as a man? The next day, several slaves were missing. They never came back. It happened often after that. One night, the slaves would hear an owl hooting in the woods that sounded different from the other owls. Not so different that the master would notice it, but the slaves noticed it. They knew it was Harriet out there, waiting to help someone escape. Sometimes a strange old lady would come by singing a song, but the voice was Harriet's. It was her way of letting the slaves know that she was there. She would see that they go to the north safely, because now she knew the way. It was dangerous for a runaway slave to go back to the very same plantation she had run away from. Yet, Harriet took that chance. It was good to be free, but not good enough, because her parents, her sisters and brothers, and friends were still slaves. Harriet found that there were many people in America who thought slavery was wrong and who were glad to help runaways. They had helped her get to the north. They called themselves an underground railroad. Harriet herself became a conductor on the Underground Railroad and saved her mother and father and about 300 other slaves. Sometimes she led slaves all the way to Canada, and she never got caught. She never stopped making these dangerous trips until President Abraham Lincoln declared that the slaves were free. Harriet lived to be a very old lady in a little town in the north, where she sold vegetables from door to door. People liked to ask her into tea to hear stories of the adventures as a conductor on the Underground Railroad. I never ran my train off track, Harriet told them proudly. And I never lose a passenger.